All right. We're live, back on the air.
Back on the air. We're actually trying to get some decent content put out at this time, which is tougher. It's a lot tougher now because we're not sitting on our thumbs in I guess we're still in a pandemic, but we're not sitting on our thumbs in a lockdown right now. So it's like we got to fucking figure out a way to get this shit done every week. But we're doing good, I think.
I think so. I think last week was good. We sort of broke out of the 7 principles mold and got to break away from that and start off on a new tangent. So that was pretty cool. A few new perspectives and stories and stuff. That was a bit of fun.
If you're into stories and fun, yeah, I guess you probably enjoyed it. The 2 people that listened.
Yeah, I'm sure they enjoyed it. I mean, I think I was probably one, so it might be one person.
At one point, we're going to come on this podcast and be like, "Whoa, 15 people listened to it last week, and we're gonna be in good shape." Do you share the Spotify link with people?
Yeah, I have.
Like in your newsletter?
Yeah, I have before. I don't know what the uptake has been. I mean, clearly it's not setting any records at the moment. But yeah, I've tried to share it out a little bit. Interested to see what's going to change, if anything, once we get potentially the branding a little bit more dialed in. So I don't know if a name of Two Bald Bastards is, depending on who you're talking to, it might be a little bit too much for some people. And I guess it's not really giving too much direction in terms of what we're actually going to talk about. So, yeah, we've been spitballing a few ideas. What do we got, Mike?
We got the serious one, which is soft tissue perspective, the soft tissue perspective. So if you're a podcaster out there and you're a doctor, don't fucking take that until we're decided whether or not we want it or not. And then we've got a little bit one that's a little bit more entertaining. It's called Joint Health Junkies. Rings a little bit better off the tongue, perhaps, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we sort of are junkies. So I don't know if you're a listener out there, if you're one of our 2 listeners, we might have to do a tiebreaker because it might be 1-1. But let us know what you think. Help us pick the name of the podcast. You've got option A, the soft tissue perspective. Option 2, Joint Health Junkies.
And hey, it's the internet too, so we can always change it again next episode after that if we want to. So we can really do whatever we want.
Maybe maybe I'll start like a fake Tinder profile and see if I can't get a bunch of people to match with me by using a fake good-looking girl, and then just tell them, refer them to this podcast. Be like, I'll only go on a date with you if you listen to the Joint Health Junkies podcast. Might be our best marketing. That'd be guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, that's dedication. That's a lot of extra work. But who knows? Maybe that'd be fun for you. That's just a little bit of way to kill some time.
Well, I don't know if that'll be fun, but getting 10 listeners would be great. So today we want to go over what? We were talking about this before we hit the record button, and how you were talking and you're mentioning that, if somebody asks you what you do, it's kind of word salad, right? It's kind of just a bunch of, oh, well, I don't do this, I don't do this, I don't do this, I kind of do this, I kind of do this, I kind of do this. I'm a chiropractor, but not really a chiropractor. I don't really practice chiropractic, all this other stuff. So we wanted to kind of sort out what we actually did here. Like what's our elevator pitch? If somebody asked us what we did, what's our 1 sentence summary, so to speak. So we figured that we'll try to hash it out through a podcast, and that will then give the listeners a little bit of an idea of what we actually do. It'll help us actually figure out what we do.
Yeah, it's been something I've been thinking about a bit lately because I had a new patient a couple of weeks ago, and she's done really well. She's doing great. I'm sure she's not listening, but Michelle, if you're listening, hello, good morning. what was interesting was she was quite excited about the results that she'd gotten in a couple of weeks, and she'd been telling a friend about it, and said that she'd had a difficult time really articulating to her friend exactly what it was that I'd done for her, because to her it wasn't something that she could just drop into a category that the public or the layperson would really resonate with quickly. Because if you say massage therapist, you expect to be getting a massage. If you say chiropractor, you expect to be getting an adjustment, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I thought about that and I went, yeah, I've really got to dial this in, because that's a problem. That's a problem from a business perspective. And, when we get people in and they get to experience what we do and they see that with their eyes and they feel that change and everything, they're on board. But that's the challenge, is to get them in the door and to get them through there. So yeah, we need to do a better job of getting that message across, and that needs to happen in a short period of time, because if you don't nail that with someone and you don't get that across to them quickly, you've lost them.
Yeah, again, it's the elevator pitch, right? You've got to get me to come in as your patient, on a phone call. Like, hey, what do you do? What's your prices? All this other stuff. Once you've got to have your speech lined up there, right? You're on floor number 1. You've got the CEO in the elevator with you, and you've got until, floor number 5 or 6 to let this young person, or not young person, but person, understand, why you are of value. So for me, it's about finding a way to summarize in 1 to 2 sentences how we provide value. Our patients know that we provide value, right? Because most of our business comes from word of mouth from our current patients. But even they have a tough time getting their friends and family to come in, because they don't even know how to describe us. Usually it's like, dude, I've got this guy. He's really good. He's a chiropractor, but doesn't do chiropractic, but I feel better. So we've got to figure out a better way to articulate what happens in between the not a chiropractor, doesn't do adjustments, and feel better, in an effort to then, allow both ourselves and our patients and our other advocates to drum up some more people to help.
Yeah, I've talked to people about this, that are sort of in this space, and said, I've asked a question like, how do you describe this to people? What do you sort of say? And so for people that are chiropractors and then just kind of focus on soft tissue treatment, the message that I've heard a few times is they will describe that to someone as, I'm a doctor of chiropractic, however, I specialize in soft tissue treatment. So that's kind of been the message. And that was mostly US based practitioners. In Australia, I'm not sure how that will fly, because it's the specialist word, that especially for chiropractors, because chiropractors, the regulatory bodies kind of like to come down pretty hard on anything that they can that doesn't really fit within all the guidelines. But calling yourself a specialist, that kind of is usually reserved for like the orthopods and that sort of stuff. So it's that sort of next level again. So the wording has to be very, very careful. But I like that wording. I think that works. But yeah, I've got to do a little bit more research on that and see what's actually legal here.
Yeah, I'm not I don't really like the vernacular of the soft tissue specialist. I think it undervalues us to a certain degree. You've got patients coming in that you've got to be worried about more things than just their soft tissue. You may be treating them primarily in a soft tissue manner, but you've got to worry about arthritis, which is not soft tissue, right? You've got to worry about things that are metabolic. you've got to worry about things that are psychological. So yes, we may be treating mostly soft tissues with, soft tissue manipulations, if you want to call it, and strength work and things like that. But to narrow us down to a soft tissue specialist is, I think it's a little bit closed-minded, right? Nobody is, you could call me a soft tissue specialist if there was another physician that had determined that this person has adhesion and they're referring them to you to get it done. Like, you're a surgeon only when you know, right, that you've got to cut into somebody. So that's where I get hung up on the soft tissue specialist, in a sense that, I don't want it, I don't want it on my scrubs where it's just like Dr. Vancheri, soft tissue specialist. I don't have anything on my scrubs. It just says Dr. Vancheri, wild card spine and sport. So that's my hang up with a soft tissue specialist. So, I mean, if you're concerned about the language and the legalities of specialist, you're looking at the right person, because I don't want to pinhole myself into something where it's just like, this guy just specializes in soft tissue.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I actually hadn't thought about it so much from that perspective, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because it is a role that does have to take in a lot more, and it may focus primarily on soft tissue treatment. But you're absolutely right. It's not the whole part of the diagnostic process. It's and so yeah, no, totally agree. That's a good point.
Now, are you guys allowed to call yourself doctors or physicians or anything like that? So yeah, so I mean, that's where I'm starting, or where I'm looking to go into. I've played a little bit with the notion of just saying I'm, a sports medicine doctor that focuses on soft tissue treatments, or a sports medicine doctor that focuses on soft tissue treatments and strength exercises to improve joint health, which, kind of sounds pretty decent when you think about it. But you don't want to then narrow yourself down. The notion of like a sports physio or a sports doctor may be what you're looking for from a marketing standpoint, but the majority of my people aren't not actual athletes, because everybody says, oh, if you walk down the street, you're an athlete, which is bullshit. You're not. You're a human being. But yeah, the sports medicine might turn a couple people off. But that's where I always try to start. I'm like, okay, I am sports medicine, right? I am a doctor. I focus on soft tissue treatments to improve function, and I focus on strength treatments to improve function. So yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are about that.
I think the sports thing has benefits, but I think it has some downsides as well, because you almost might lose the person that has no interest in sports, but they still need that care. So that they may not push the button on wanting to come in. So yeah, I guess it's got to be something that kind of is broad enough across the whole general population, rather than sort of subsets of it. With your comment about the doctor thing over here, my understanding is that yes, we use the doctor as a title. It's a protected title. But it has to be in context of chiropractic. So if you're stating that you're a doctor, it's got to be Dr. Joe Brown, and in parentheses, chiropractor. So
interesting.
Yeah. Otherwise, the assumption is otherwise that you're a general practitioner, a general medical practitioner. So yeah, it has to be stated, or I think maybe you can put DC possibly is another way to do it. That's pretty direct, but yeah, there's a lot of history over here. I don't know what it's like on your side of the pond, but chiropractors have a bit of a challenged history in general. It's quite a polarizing profession here. So there's fairly stringent rules around what we can say, what we can do. There's been a lot of media that comes out around chiropractors that have advertised cures for cancer and boosting your immune system to ward off the coronavirus, and all sorts of stuff. There's been a lot of controversy around treatment of children, videos that circulate through social media every now and then that show a chiropractor adjusting a baby or something. So there's always some sort of uproar. There's a lot of people that really don't like the profession. Then there's people that really do like it. So it's a very polarizing profession. Doesn't seem like it's going to change. There's a lot of actual division within the profession itself, between those that align with an evidence base, and then those that are very traditional in their beliefs of what chiropractic is or should be, and both sides are very passionate about it and don't give an inch. And so from the outside, for the public that just wants to get help and get better, you look at that and just think, you guys are all bonkers. Like, get it together. So that makes it challenging, just to try and operate within that environment. I think, from kind of looking at that, and I wasn't aware of that so much when I kind of started on this journey 5 years ago, and it's really become more and more apparent as moving through that system, and kind of getting closer to. It's almost like you have to pick a side kind of thing, and figure out where you fit within that mold. And so you sort of see, in a large cohort of people, as we're going through, people sort of start to veer in different directions and choose what they kind of align with and what they're interested in. And so it's just a strange profession, dude. I mean, you could line up 10 different full-time practicing chiropractors and ask how they might manage the same case, and you'd probably get 10 fairly different responses, in terms of how that treatment might look. So yeah, it's a challenge for us, I think, to fit within that, and then and really connect with people and have them really buy into that quickly. So there you go.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a bit of a long one.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, it is a polarizing profession, and some people want to be doctors and some people don't want to be doctors. They'd rather, adjust your neck and make crazy claims that, now you can hear and shit like that. So that's where a lot of the challenges of trying to label what we actually do and whether or not we're physicians, comes through, because there's a lot of Looney Tunes out in this profession. And that's another reason why it's so important for us to have that elevator pitch, because how do we, in a 1 to 2 sentence statement, separate ourselves from an individual like that, or separate ourselves from an individual that's just prescribing you exercise plans, or is trying to sell you snake oil online, or miraculous different interventions, so to speak. So that's where I see the advantages of sports medicine. If you look at sports medicine in the States, it's going to be an orthopedist, not necessarily somebody who just treats athletes, but it gets the message across, right? That we are for a population, because for me, sports medicine summates in a notion that we're treating joints, right? We're not really that guy to go to when you've got the runs and you shit your pants or something like that. You're more than welcome to walk into my office. I'll just turn you around. But sports medicine, to me, basically gives us the notion that we're joint health people, like all sports medicine physicians. So that's where I veer a little bit more closely towards. A surgeon is a sports medicine person. A physical therapist is a sports medicine person. We're sports medicine, and that just, allows people to know that we're not that Looney Tune that, hey, let's just adjust your atlas, or hey, I'm going to put you in a pair of orthotics and stick you on a vibrating board for 20 minutes so that your adjustment can stick. So that's where I get the sports medicine from. And then it's like, okay, within that subset, I am a doctor. Within that subset, what are my two main tools? And my two main tools are, releasing adhesion through soft tissue, manipulation, and inducing strength through rehabilitation exercises.
Do you think that that label, if you want to call it that, does it concern you at all that it might turn off, or the general population, the people that are just looking for some maintenance care or something like that need that they might not find you?
I mean, as it pertains to the person that's looking for maintenance care, it depends what type of maintenance care they're looking for. If their maintenance care is defined as wanting to see a chiropractor every month to get adjusted, then I'm okay not getting that patient under my care.
I guess I'm thinking of like someone maybe with some osteoarthritis or something like that kind of needs some help to keep those joints open a little bit, that sort of stuff.
Well, if you tore your ACL and you were just an average run-of-the-mill Joe and Jane, would you have any issues going to an orthopedic surgeon that treats athletes? Yeah. No. Right? You wouldn't. And I'm hashing all this out in front of you right now, so this is kind of an interesting exercise. But yeah, I mean, I don't think a person necessarily, like, you're not going to feel intimidated going to a sports medicine individual, right? Someone who's labeled as that, or a sports medicine group where there's orthopedists and physical therapists and things like that. So to me, those two words give me the biggest bang for my buck when telling somebody, what I am.
Yeah. Is there rules around it? Is it a protected title? Do you know?
Well, we're medicine. We're medical. Sports. I don't know if I need to so if you're going to if you're going to can me, if you're going to call the cops on me because I say sports medicine, and you know what I mean? It's a weird fucking thing. I don't think I need to be like a sports medicine chiropractic. I'm not describing myself as something. I'm just saying this is what I do.
Yeah, no, it's just an interesting question, because I think we do have a lot of regulatory guidelines around that stuff, what we can and can't say, and websites get audited and that sort of thing. So yeah, just interested. I've sort of started to take it in another way, and go away from I guess the promotion of any profession as such, because people tend to associate something with something. So if you say chiropractor to someone, they associate that with whatever their experience with chiropractic has been. If you say massage therapist, if you say physiotherapist, for most people that has quite a strong connotation with it based on what they've done and what they've seen already. So I've started steering it more towards the problem that we're trying to solve. And so for me, I'm kind of going down that path of reducing the number of regions in the body that I want to focus on and I want to think about. I want to try and zero in and rather than being a bit more broad and being spread a little bit more thin, I want to try and reduce that scope and really hone in on the stuff that I want to help with. But, my message now, kind of, rather than saying I am XYZ and I help with this, and someone having a preconceived idea of what that's going to look like, I'd rather just say I fix unresolved low back, neck and shoulder pain, and with a focus on soft tissue treatment. And people will be a bit more like, what's that?
That's not bad at all. That's really good. Fix unresolved. Yeah, there you go.
And at least you get a little bit of interest. And if they want to explain that more, then you can. But yeah, I think as soon as as soon as there's a few certain words you can drop straight away, and you lose them.
Yeah, well, you'll notice that neither of our definitions featured anything having remotely close to do with chiropractic, because you lose people instantly as soon as you say chiropractic, and rightly so, because there's a lot of shitty chiropractors out there that have ruined the name. Well, I don't ruined the name is probably an aggressive way to put it, but have completely spoiled the ability to utilize that name. Then you got something like 2.5 Men, where Alan Harper is the doopy loser younger brother who's a chiropractor, and it's like, I don't. If I was practicing chiropractic in Malibu, I definitely would not be needing to live with my alcoholic brother. But that's outside the point. I mean, there's a certain preconceived notion about what we do and our success and things like that. So I just try to eliminate that, just like you said, just avoid it. I love the notion of just telling people what you do from a practical standpoint. Like I eliminate or, unresolved pain in XYZ, which is cool because I guess that's even more tangible to a certain degree than, sports medicine doctor that whatever uses manual adhesion release to induce mobility and flexibility, and what I mean, that's better. I'd almost be willing to say, like, I'm in sports medicine. I specialize in treating and reducing chronic pain, and I fix unresolved joint pain with the focus on soft tissue treatment. It's pretty good.
The reason I kind of arrived at that was I was actually playing with the Google My Business listings and trying to figure out how to hack that a little bit, because that's a challenge for anyone to try and get your business showing up in Google listings. And it's still kind of the king, I think, for reaching people, because you want to get more
people from Google. Comes second in my referral base, like not Instagram, not Facebook, not anything except word of mouth, and people literally Google chiropractor Queens.
Yeah.
And because I've got 20 or so 5-star reviews, because I've played the Google business game, which is posting photos and updates and shit like that.
That's what you have to do, right?
Yeah, you got to basically engage people through Google.
You got to be active on there, and you get rewarded. What I realized though was that the actual name, the name of your business, has some effect on where you land in the results as well. So I was thinking about that and the types of people that I would get organically, and sometimes I'd get people kind of looking at my page, but they weren't the right people, but they'd found me because of looking for something else. So I just had to think, look, who are the people that I want to find? I don't really want the people that are looking for a specific type of treatment, because they're not looking for me in that sense, because they don't really. Because
nobody knows you exist.
Right. No one knows what they're looking for.
Nobody knows what we do. So looking for that specifically. Yeah, I thought about that too. Like listing that I treat adhesion. It's like, who the fuck who's looking for their adhesion to be treated? It's a good point. It's a really good point.
So I just thought, well, what are these people? What are their problems? Like, what are they actually looking for? I went, well, the people that I'm helping, they have low back pain, they have neck pain, they have shoulder pain. And so I actually put that in my listing name. So it's got Apex soft tissue, low back, neck, and shoulder pain. And so now if you go and punch that into the local area for either of those 3 things, I'm pretty much at the top of that list. So that's something to think about. But yeah, that just got me going down this whole tangent of focusing on the problem, rather than, I'm this guy and I do this, or I'm, this girl or guy or whatever. But it's just focusing on the problem and what people are looking for and the mechanism to get there. Who cares? I mean, it becomes important, but I don't think you need to necessarily sell that right from that word go.
Yeah, I think You're right. I think that's what's got to get people to bite. And then once you reel them in and show them, you're like, hey, this is actually what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. And you almost, it's like, you ever be on Instagram and you see a chick with like a bikini and a big ass and well, gosh, edit this out, please. You ever be on Instagram and you see a good looking individual and that gets you to bite and, and you go and you read their posts and they're selling something and you buy it. Like that's what we're almost looking to do here, right? Like we're getting to we're trying to get you to stop at our page so that you can actually go in and see what we have to offer. So it's like that first initial elevator pitch, right? We don't have to get super deep into, what we're doing. We just got to be able to have you understand, hey, this is what I do in the simplest way possible. Get them in, get them treated, get them feeling better, get them examined. And now you say, okay, here's how I fix your chronic pain, right? By doing an exam and measuring function and taking a great history and diagnosing and manual adhesion release, instrument adhesion release, load modification and exercise. Like nobody wants to hear that. They literally just want to hear, and this is, if nobody listens to this podcast, for me, it was 100% a win in just the sense that you've given me a fantastic idea, and it's, I fix unresolved chronic pain and back, neck, shoulder, hip, ankle, knee, head, toe, whatever. You can say unresolved joint pain. You can say unresolved pain. Doesn't matter. And yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Nice. We've been productive today.
We've been somewhat productive.
And I fell into the trap a little bit because of my own experiences that kind of drive the message that I would put out, through my website and through social media and stuff like that, because I'd sort of write stuff for myself, having been a patient.
Right.
And so I would write a lot of stuff that was too technical, and it still is too technical, I think, because I think, cool, this is a way this differentiates me from other people that are doing something different. But I think it's too heavy, because most of the people that we do want to connect with, I sort of have to go back a little bit and think, what was that like? Like, I don't give a shit about the details so much. I give a shit about,
I don't give a fuck about adhesion.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about measurement. I mean, some people do give a big fuck about measurements, right?
Yes,
maybe
definitely.
A quarter of the population is like super, super interested in it. But when it comes down to it, our job is to get people out of pain. And our job is to get people back to doing what they either need to do or want to do on a day-to-day basis that they cannot due to discomfort. I mean, that's it, right? Like if you distill it down and you burn off all the bullshit and all the other stuff, and that's not to undervalue, getting a good diagnosis and removing the adhesion and getting strength and giving good advice. But like at the end of the day, you're a healer, you're a pain reliever. And I don't think anybody gives a flying hootenanny about how you do it. And it's a tough balance too, because it's like, we have a message that our way is objectively a better way of getting people out of pain, right? Like I won't flirt or beat around the bush there. Like removing adhesion is, one of the best, if not the best way to eliminate that chronic pain. And it's like, we want to get that out there. We want people to understand that integrative diagnosis providers and people who can remove adhesion are better, right? Like that's part of our mission as like a group of individuals and as a group of doctors. At the end of the day, the patient doesn't give a fuck, right? It's like you could take 2 candles and burn incense around them and get rid of their demon pain. And if that's what worked, then that's what works. So I think sometimes we overcomplicate it because we are looking to not push an agenda, but we're looking to make it known that our way is a really, really good way. It's the best way. But sometimes we get lost in trying to push that agenda versus just being doctors. Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is something that's bothered me a little bit, but now I'm finally figuring out why. So it's kind of interesting. Like, holy shit, you know what I mean?
We get excited about the difference and the details and the measurements and that stuff. That's we love that stuff. And so sometimes you go, why doesn't everyone else love this too? Like, but it's too much right off the bat sometimes, I think. And it does resonate with people once they're in that. And, once you start showing people that you can remeasure the test that they finished on a week ago and show them that they've maintained all of that range of motion that they had, or they're within striking distance of it. Some people even get better in the time that they're away. And you can demonstrate that rather than just kind of going, so how do you feel this week? You put some numbers around that and show them the value. Man, that's big. And for some people, they're just like, cool, like, let's go. And then other people, they're just blown away by it. So that's awesome. That's a huge deal. But yeah, to try and sell that straight off the bat is too much. So I'm kind of learning that we need to just dull it down a little bit and then kind of let it speak for itself.
Yeah, and it's a bit egoic. And again, for the 12 people that have maybe listened to this podcast in total, I have no qualms whatsoever about admitting that I have a very, very healthy ego. But at times that ego wants me to push an agenda more so than it wants to fix as many people as possible. And I think that part of the reason why part of the reason why what we do hasn't exploded might be because we're trying to focus on that more so than focus on fixing the people, right? Fixing the adhesion. And, I don't know if this is an experience for you, but sometimes you look at another integrated diagnosis Instagram post and you're like, oh, come on, like, that's cheesy. It's got 4 likes, super technical, talking about adhesion. And it's like, at the end of the day, the way that we're going to get our message across best, the way we're going to let the world know, and I don't sound like a cult leader right now, but the way that the world is going to understand and appreciate adhesion and weakness and metabolic dysfunction and stress and its effect on joint pain is not by telling them that. It's by fixing people using that. So, yeah, I guess that's my biggest. You ever have like a qualm with something and you don't know why you have a qualm with something, and it's just kind of like festers a little bit of animosity or resentment. So much as I love ID, I'm not like the perfect fanboy or poster child of it, just because I've had that feeling that I have been unable to articulate until now. So this is kind of an interesting kind of watershed moment for me in this podcast.
Your camera's out of focus too, dude, for a little while.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell to do, dude.
All right. We'll just power on.
Power through.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. It just refocused. It must be, you got a bit closer to it.
I'm just going to post the audio version of this shit at the end of the day, right?
So we were talking just before we started the camera rolling, and we were sort of talking about the challenges of building a business in this area and to a point where you have consistent uptake, a patient base that's big enough to sustain consistent business and reach new people and all this stuff. And you just kind of, I think, nailed it there. The proof has to be in the pudding. It's got to be in achieving the results rather than just being out there with huge signs and huge social media and all this stuff, and sort of claiming and saying that we do all these things. We just have to get out and do it.
Right.
And it's slow, and that's just what it is. Yeah, I mean, you can't, I don't know if there's ways to accelerate this stuff, but it's slow.
I think we figured out how to accelerate it just now. I mean, we literally just, I think so. I mean, I'm about to change the whole tune of my marketing. It's like, hey, whatever. This is, this is not how we do it. This is what we do. This is why we do, and this is how you're going to feel better, right? I'm no longer going to be sitting here saying I'm the only clinic in New York City certified to diagnose and treat adhesion. Like, nobody fucking cares because nobody's looking. Very rarely are people looking for that. I'm not going to not market it in the sense that I'm going to eliminate it from everything, but it's not going to be like a number one selling point for me. That number one selling point is going to be, just like you said, it's I fix chronic unresolved pain through soft tissue treatments, through soft tissue mobilization, manipulation, whatever it is. And that's it. And I think just simplifying that is going to be huge. I mean, I still might sit here and say I'm in sports medicine to try to because it's true, right? But that the meat and potatoes of what it is what it is that we do, and what people are looking to hear is, again, not I'm going to find your adhesion and remove it with expertly skilled treatment and precise applications of force vectors. No, it's I'm going to eliminate or reduce to a high degree your chronic unresolved pain. And you don't even need to tell them how. I don't even think you need to tell them how. I mean, it's good. It's a nice little cherry on top. But at the end of the day, that's it. That's what you do. That's what you're put on this earth for, Chris. This is like as simple as that. You're put on the fucking earth to fix people's pain. Why? Because people can't do what they want to and need to do when they hurt. So congrats. You just figured, we just figured our lives out.
And and the way that you just put that before too is, hearing you say that back, I could kind of imagine how in some people's interpretation of, the how and the how that you do these things, that could there's a risk that could fall into the quack bucket. Like for skeptical people that are already skeptical of everything, they're just going to go, the fuck is this guy talking about? Like, I'm moving on. Yeah. So dude, this has been awesome. I think we might have nailed our elevator pitch.
I think we nailed it. I mean, not 100%. We'll probably text or message a little bit back and forth here off the camera, but I think we've got 85% of it. I mean, I would still love to know what I'm going to tell to people when they say, well, how do you fix chronic unresolved pain? And then, I might have to go a little bit deeper there in a sense of saying something along the lines of, soft tissue treatments to improve function, soft tissue and strength, soft tissue treatments and rehabilitation exercises to improve strength and length or function or something like that. But yeah, we've got it down.
It's part A and part B. And,
right.
So you don't throw part B at them initially, because you got to reel them in and get the attention with part A, and then you can deliver what the details.
Well, if they want. Yeah. And if they want to, some people don't even care. Right. Some people you could put leeches on their legs and be like, I've healed you of all of your magical pain. And they'll be like, fuck yeah, cool. See you later. Sayonara. Right. Thank you. Here's my money. I appreciate what you did. So yeah, you got to have that B, just in case somebody's like, the skeptic in the room, and you might even have to have C, statement C for the super skeptic, that one that's, well, how do you do that? How do you improve function? But, that's what we do. It's nice to know.
We want to be at a price point too that represents the fact that this is a good product. So if someone's going to be interested in investing money in their health and in that service,
sure, they're going to ask more questions.
They're going to ask some questions, absolutely. And
we have the answers. It's just when we want to deliver them.
That's it. It's good.
Sweet.
So, elevator pitch, 85% nailed. Now we just got to figure out the name of the podcast.
Yeah, podcast. I like the today was a little bit more serious. I mean, I don't think we made one dick joke. So today I'm leaning a little bit towards the soft tissue perspective, but I don't even know if the soft tissue perspective I don't know if that even aligns with our elevator pitch. We just went over an elevator pitch where we didn't fucking talk a thing about soft. We decided at the end that whatever we have above the iceberg in our elevator pitch, Titanic shout out, doesn't have anything to do. We're not putting soft tissue or adhesion or whatever. So it's like we may have to go back to the drawing board with the name of our podcast.
Good. I mean, then this is a good exercise, right?
It's a beautiful exercise.
But the other thing is too, we probably confused the shit out of our very small listener base, because who are we actually talking to? Are we talking to practitioners? Are we talking to patients? Are we talking to both? I guess we need to probably be clear on that, because I think we should be trying to talk to more towards the patient base or prospective patient base. But, you and I, we enjoy this stuff, and we probably get pretty technical in the weeds sometimes. And that's going to appeal to maybe other practitioners that are interested in looking for podcasts in the area that they work in. So,
yeah. And it's something we got to get better at too. I mean, I think the first 7 were really nice because they helped us, and from a selfish perspective, become better doctors. And maybe the 9 people that average listening to the first 7 got something out of it, to the point where they understood us better and they became more comfortable being our patients. Or maybe we had somebody that didn't want to come in. But yeah, at one point we're going to need to make a decision as to who this is geared towards. From my personal perspective, I think developing an elevator pitch to a patient base kind of live would be an interesting exercise, because I think it helps you see where our thoughts are coming from. And I think from a doctor's perspective, it lets you guys know that, yeah, this is something you might want to fucking think about a little bit more. But I mean, if I'm a patient listening to this, I'm thinking, all right, this guy's got his head on straight, because he's no longer filling my head with whatever he wants, but he's starting to understand that he's got to fill my head with what I want. And at the end of the day, that's going to help both of us.
I love it. All right, man. I think we've done some good work today. So
I think so too.
This is good. We're really on a roll now.
3 in a row, right? We got to do it.
Dude, it's good. We're kind of learning as we go, and everything starts somewhere, man. So yeah, this is good stuff.
All right, Chris. I'll catch you later, my man.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.